All right, team, we're going to get started with the first part of this training module, the science fair, with our STREAMLITE and terminal blocks. So I'm going to go over the list of materials for those employees that are at home or here in the office that are going to actually be getting product ahead of time so that you can not just follow along, but you can do the assembly yourself. So you should have our STREAMLITE. This is our chip on board dotless tape light. Reason why we practice with this is it's a little unique. It has a raised phosphor. It's a little bit trickier to put this in our connectors properly. You will have two different connectors, okay, as well as two backups just in case if you one of the screws get damaged. And as you can notice here, I'm going to show you how you can tell the difference, okay? So right here, notice how one side is slanted and this side, and one side is not slanted, okay? The slanted side is always going to be the tape side. So this means that it is a tape to wire connector. Then you will have a tape to tape connector. So you can notice here both sides are slanted, okay? That is your tape to tape connector. You will also have a female DC. This is kind of acting as if it is your 18 gauge wire in the field. The only liberty that we're taking today is this is not a common connector, but this will allow you to be able to take this home and connect it into your plug-in driver and use it in the future, okay? You'll notice that you're going to have two different wires coming out of it. You'll have the red wire, which is going to be positive, and the black wire that's going to be negative. You will also have a plug-in driver. Okay, I will be using a different plug-in driver for this video, but your plug-in driver should look like this. This way you can take it home. It also has a male DC connector that will then connect into the female DC connector. Okay, you will also have a diode LED screwdriver that you can use. This is what we use for swag. It's also magnetic, so that the screws come out on accident. You can actually pick it up since it's magnetized. It has a flat head, as well as a Phillips that is reversible, and these are meant for zero screws. Zero screws are what we use typically across all of our products. You'll also have a scissors so that you can cut the tape light there in the field or when you're at the office, okay? So let's get into this. Now, STREAMLITE, if you notice here, if you ever have played around with any of our other tape light, you'll notice that when you rub your finger over it, it is not nearly as thick of a phosphor. You notice here with STREAMLITE, you can see it. It comes off of the PCB or printed circuit board quite a bit. And so this makes it a little bit trickier to connect it into our terminal blocks. Notice too that you're going to see these cut points. Okay, on the STREAMLITE, the cut points are every 2 inches. Okay, you'll notice here on the cut point, there is a black line. Okay, that black line is actually where you're going to cut it. And you'll also notice that on every one of our tape lights, the positive and the negative right here are always going to be located at the actual cut point. Okay, so let's get started here. So I'm going to flip this around here, and what we're going to do is really the idea of this module, this part, is that we're going to cut this STREAMLITE into 2 halves, and then we're going to connect the female DC into the first half with our tape to wire connector, light up the first half, make sure that it goes on and we test it. Then we're going to jump it using our tape to tape connector into the second run of STREAMLITE, and that will be the end of the module. So couple tricks here, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to cut it down the middle, okay? I want you to notice that on mine, there is no metal cut points, but you might have a section where maybe one of these cut points, okay, one of these cut points happen to have a more raised metal section to it. If that happens to be more in the middle, we do not want to cut on that metal cut point. We want to cut one cut point over. The reason why those metal cut points are there is that when you make tape light, it's made in sheets of tape light, these large sheets, and they need to utilize those metal cut points to reinforce the sheets. But they don't work very well in our actual terminal blocks, okay? So I don't happen to have that, so I'm going to cut down the middle. I'm going to utilize that cut point right here. So here's a trick that we learned over at the ROC or Reno Operations Center, is that on most tape light, you cut straight down, okay, completely vertical. What we're going to do with STREAMLITE to give it a little bit more solder point is we're going to cut at a 45 degree. So I'll show you here. You'll take your scissors. You're going to line it up. You're going to have the back end or the bottom end of the scissors line up on the black line, and then you're going to cut at a 45 degree angle, okay? Now, I want to show you something here. You'll notice the way you know that you did it right is that when you see it on the back side, you'll see a little bit of the phosphor hanging off of the tape light. That's how you know that you did it right, okay? So we're gonna take our first run of tape light and keep it here and then get rid of our second run for now. All right, and now we're gonna bring in our tape to wire connector. Again, you can see slanted side is the tape side. This is going to be the wire side, okay? We'll bring this in here. And then we're also going to bring in our female DC. So as you can see here, really the way it's going to work is female DC into the wire side of the terminal block, and then the terminal block is going to connect into the tape light on the tape side. Okay. So what we're going to want to do first is before connecting our wires into the terminal block, we're going to actually connect our STREAMLITE into the terminal block first. Okay. So notice here that sometimes when you cut it, okay, when you cut it, you'll actually have a lot of solder pads still left over. So what I'm going to do here is notice how that is not perfectly on the half point. That's because when I have initially cut it, I cut it on this side. Okay, so what we're going to want to do here is trim this down a little bit. You can see here the black line. Okay, I'm going to do the same idea where I'm going to go like this, line it up the bottom side of the scissors at a 45 degree and cut down. Okay, now we've trimmed it. We'll get rid of this and bring it back in here. Now, a couple tips and tricks or nuances to this is that imagine if you had, we're not doing a small section here. Imagine if you had to do 16 feet of STREAMLITE, okay? And let's say you were going to put it in a channel or you're going to just adhese it to the under cabinet. We'll use under cabinet as an example. If you connect the STREAMLITE in here without taking some of the adhesive off, the issue with that is now the only way you can take the adhesive off is on the far right side. Now for this, it doesn't really matter too much because it's a short section. But imagine if you had a massive section, you would have to then take all of the adhesive off, completely off of the tape light. So now there's a bunch of exposed adhesive before you've actually installed it onto the under cabinet. Now that adhesive, when the tape light is long, it's going to be swinging around and it's going to be touching stuff and you're going to collect dust on the backside of the adhesive. This is what we don't want. We want to have that adhesive as clean as possible before we go and install it. So what we're going to do here, and I'll show you, is since this is going to be my left side to right side, you notice how I talked about how there is a positive and a negative on the cut points. This is what's called polarity. Well, the way we say this is there is a right side and a left side to tape light. Okay, you have to make sure, when we talked about that the red wire on 2-wire systems, low voltage, is always going to be positive, and the black is always going to be negative. So as you can see here, the positive is on this side, the negative is on this side. So when I bring in my lead wire, I want to make sure that the positive red wire is on the same side. The way I like to work is I always have the positive on either the far side or the top side when I'm doing any type of install. Another way you can see this is that as long as you can read the diode LED label that's on the tape light, and I'll show it this way. Okay, as long as it is legible and not upside down, that means the positive will always be on the top side or far side. Okay, that's how I like to think about it as I go through my systems. So come back here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to flip it upside down and we're going to take a little bit of the adhesive off. Okay, so let me get this here. Oops, here we go. Just a little bit off. Okay, so I'm going to pull it off here. There we go. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to rip it off. Okay, I'm going to leave it here so that just in case if you needed to, then when you go to install it, now you can go like this, pull it as you go and you stick it down into the channel or wherever you're installing this. So I'm going to leave a little bit off here. Okay, and then the next trick I want you to see is that I like to always install our tape light into connectors upside down. And the reason why is our terminal blocks are actually a patented connector. And connectors have been the wild, wild west for years. It started out with these clamshells that you would push down and pressurize. Those would come loose. Those didn't work well. Then there was the snap downs, the non-screw connectors. Those would burn up really easily. Then the screw down connectors came out. But the issue is that if a contractor in the field is screwing down, you could over tighten the screw. And actually the screw would come through and pierce the tape light or pierce the wire and damage it. So what we did is that we have these sleds, and you can see on the tape side, it's easier to see them, okay? You can see these little tiny metal sleds. Let me show it better here. okay? Little tiny metal sleds here. What that essentially is doing is that you're going to, when you slip the tape light into the connector, okay, the sled, this is the tape light right here, okay, and this is the sled, okay? You want to make sure that when you slip it in, the sled is above the tape light. Why that's the case is that that metal sled will allow the contractor, whoever's screwing down the terminal block, to really crank down on it, and then it will hit the sled, and the sled blocks it from actually piercing the tape light. So what you do is you'll hit it and then push it down, and now it will make contact. Okay, so that's the idea of the sled. So the reason why we want to install it upside down is I'm going to show you what you don't want to do and how it's wrong. Okay, so I'm going to slip it in like this, and I'm going to slip it in, and notice you can see here how you can see little metal sleds, little metal rectangles underneath the actual tape light. That means that they're not above, so they're not actually protecting the tape light. So what we want to do is we want to do this: take it back out and slide it in. See, now you can't actually see the sleds. Okay, that means they are above the tape light. Also, another reason why we take the adhesive off is not just so that we can take it from the left side as we install it, it also allows you to have some good connectivity in there. If you didn't have the adhesive exposed, this terminal block can slip off really easily and make it a little bit more difficult to screw it down. So now that I have it in there, and you can see it's pretty stuck on there, I'm going to show you a technique on how to screw this down. So the way I like to do it is thumb and pointer finger. Thumb goes here to block the terminal block from moving around. Pointer finger, okay? And then I'm going to have my Phillips head side of the screwdriver, and then this is like a tire. You don't want to, when you're changing a tire out, you don't want to screw down one screw all the way and then do the next one. So what we're going to do is kind of alternate. And the reason why is if you screw down one screw all the way, you're going to have the tape light is going to possibly shift and go crooked. And we want to make sure it stays straight. So I'll go here, screw down a little bit, screw down a little bit, okay, all the way until I cannot crank anymore. Now, I want to mention something that is unique about STREAMLITE and why we practice this module is that STREAMLITE, because of that raised phosphor, you have to really crank down on the screws where you cannot tighten them anymore. Now, I've done this a lot. If you even have a little bit of that screw where you can still tighten it, sometimes it's not making contact and it won't even turn on. And people will be like, why is it not turning on? These are the nuances where it's usually not even polarity. It is because you have not screwed those screws down all the way. So I have it pretty tight in there. So now I'm going to hold it like this and really make sure that both screws are as tight as possible. So I'm going to keep, you can see it's quite a bit. You have to really get in there and crank it down. Okay, I'm going to keep going. This one has a little bit more room to screw down. There we go. Both of them are now unable to screw down anymore. So now we have our tape to wire terminal block connected to our first run of STREAMLITE. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we never want to then connect it into the next run of tape light before testing the first run. Imagine on a large job where you don't have a small section like this, you're doing 8 feet, then connecting into another 8 feet. If you do all the connections first and then you messed up with polarity or the connector, now you have to redo everything. You want to always start by testing the first run to make sure that turns on first before moving on the actual system. So now remember, my positive is going to be on the far side from me, and then negative is on the bottom side. So that means red wire on the top side, black wire on the bottom side. Okay, so what we're going to do is make sure that these screws are loosened up quite a bit. Okay, and then I'm going to grab it right here, and I like to usually put the wires close together like this. So you can do both of them at the same time, and you'll feel it. When you get it in there, it kind of makes like not a click, but a little bit of a clamping feel to it. So now that I have it in there, I like to rest my hand on the wire like this to weight it down, hold the terminal block, and then we will screw this down. Now, with the wire side, you don't have to screw down all the way. I still like to have this as strong as possible. Now, just know on the wire side, we do have the patented sled system, but imagine it, instead of one sled, we actually have 2 sleds, and it makes a sandwich. Okay, and so what you're doing is the wire is coming in between both sleds to have a sandwich to protect that wire. So what's nice about these terminal blocks is that this almost creates a field solder without having to solder. Most terminal blocks, if I went like this and started yanking on the tape light, it would slip out very easily, most connectors. What's cool about the sled system and that we use screws is that you can really make a very, very strong connection with a connector, and it's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to have it slip out or have different types of connectivity issues. All right, so now that I have it right here, I'm going to switch it around just because my driver is on this side. Okay, boom, we turned it on. You can see here, right, it's turned on, this beautiful dotless tape light, our STREAMLITE, and then you can see here our terminal blocks are clear, so even some of the light is coming through the terminal block. So, awesome. We have our first run of STREAMLITE done. Congratulations. Let's move on to the next step, okay? So, now I'm going to unplug it, bring it back here, okay, and what we're going to do now is essentially the same idea, okay, but we're going to connect it with our tape to tape. You can see both sides are slanted, okay, into our next run of STREAMLITE. Now we need to make sure though that we have the positive on the same side as this run. So we don't want it flipped around like this, okay? That would be a reverse polarity issue. What you would notice if you don't do it correctly is that this run would still turn on, but reverse polarity, you will not get flickering or it won't be more dim. It just won't turn on at all, okay? So we want to flip this back around. That is now my positive on my first run, positive on my second run, negative on my first run, negative on my second run, okay? So we're going to do the same idea here though, okay? So now on this side, what we're going to do is still take off the adhesive, just a little section of it, okay? But this time what I want you to do is I want you to rip it off, okay? So you can rip it off either with your fingers or since we have scissors here, we can make it very easy and just do a little cut of it, okay? Let me get this trash out of the way here. So the reason why we're ripping it off now is because no longer do we need to stick it down. At this point, right, this side of it, we will be taking off the adhesive. So we don't need to have the adhesive still sticking on there. We just want it to be exposed. Okay, so then again, we're going to have our tape to tape. I can notice that these are a little bit tight screws. So I want to loosen them up a little bit just so that it's easy to slip in that STREAMLITE. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing we did last time. We're going to flip it upside down so that we can see underneath the terminal block. It's easier to look and make sure that you are above the sleds. Let me do this so that you guys can see it easily. So again, I'm going to slip it in there and make sure that I can't see the metal sleds underneath, okay? Also, again, you took that adhesive off. Now it's in there really good. Same technique, okay? We're going to like this, pointer thumb, okay? And, pointer finger and thumb. And then I'm going to make sure that I switch off on screwing them down. Now, just note again, this is still STREAMLITE all the way through, right? So you have to make sure that anytime you're connecting STREAMLITE to a connector, that you always tighten down as far as you possibly can, where there's nothing left to twist. Okay, so a little bit more here. That one's good. Let me just test out this last one here. Okay, we are really tight down there. All right, so now we have that first run connected. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take our next run, but we're going to do the same thing we did the first time we took the adhesive off. So we're not going to rip it off. We're just going to pull a little bit off because the idea would be that now you've connected it. Now when you go to lay it down in a channel or you go to lay it down on an under cabinet, you can pull the adhesive off as you stick down the tape light, okay? So we have a little bit of it off. We're going to do the same idea. We're going to flip it upside down, okay? And then we're going to connect it in. You can notice there, you cannot see the sleds again. So that means we are underneath them, so it's protecting the tape light. We'll flip it back over. We're going to do the same idea here, pointer finger and thumb to hold it down, okay? And then we're going to alternate on the screws, okay? And as long as you get your polarity right, you're underneath the sleds, and you crank down on the screws all the way, you're going to be able to light up this entire system with no problems. Okay, a little bit more tight. You can see there, right? You have to really, quite a few twists here to make sure that there's nothing left that I can't see. I cannot crank that anymore. All right, so as you can see here, female DC, in the tape to wire, into our first run of STREAMLITE, into our tape to tape, into our second run of STREAMLITE. So let's see if I did a good job, and let's test it out. So I'll have it right here. Look at that. So if both runs lit up, you are on your way to being a professional installer of low voltage tape light.